So we went to see a British independent film that me and Maddie saw the trailer for yonks ago. We then watched the trailer last week, and lots of you watched it actually in a very short amount of time. And it's called The Last Tree, directed by Shola Amoo, who is a British-Nigerian director from South London.
South London.
South London. I think he made a docudrama about Brixton prior to this, starring Sam Adewunmi and Tai Golding. But Tai Golding playing the younger Femi and Sam Adewunmi playing the older Femi. It also stars Denise Black as the foster mother, and Gbemisola Ikumelo plays
the mother.
The actual biological mother. This is an incredibly emotional,
deep,
but not melodramatic. It's not over the top.
It's really natural.
Yeah, it's not cliched, was it?
No.
Portrait of a boy who is fostered by the Denise Black character in Lincolnshire and is then reunited with his biological mother and comes to London. I have to say, what did you think of that opening scene? Where they were playing, the boys were playing.
So cute. Yeah, because that bit was in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically Femi when he was really little playing with all of these boys, and it was really, and what you said as well, obviously all the other boys are white, and Femi's the only black one out of them, but there was no suggestion of it being, you know, they never pointed out that, which is great, and they shouldn't. Yeah. But it's nice to see a film not pointing it out.
It was so nice to have a scene of play between boys where race wasn't even like a thing.
Because I kept kind of expecting one of the white kids to make, just not even in a rude way, but make a comment of some sort. But they never, and I loved that. It was
I loved
like
it, and it was so beautifully. It was beautifully executed. It reminded me of all the rough and tumble I used to take part in when I was a kid. In fact, some of the boys looked like some of my friends, like Edward Selby.
I was thinking that when I was watching it. I was like, these.
I loved the way they filmed the bit where they were screaming.
Oh,
they,
didn't you?
Yeah, they turned around.
They whip-panned it, didn't they? And what I even liked about that even more, Kiki, you're right, was that when they whip-panned it, they were waiting for the there was something about the timing of it that was beautiful. Shot in Terrence Malick-like light.
Yes.
If you're a fan of Terrence Malick, you'll know Days of Heaven, where he shot every day only in the golden hour.
Yeah, you said that's crazy.
Wasn't it beautiful? The light, the sunlight in Lincolnshire.
I mean, every shot in the film altogether, because obviously he went from where he was when he was little, which was quite orangey and like colourful, and then to London where it was all grey the whole time, but it was still beautiful. When it was grey, the lighting was still
absolutely.
They managed to make it look.
And I think what he managed to do was again, even in the way they shot both the rural scenes in Lincolnshire and the London scenes, I felt he shot London. I mean, we're all quite used to how London is shot in films about South East London and gangs. You know, we've all seen it a lot, haven't we? We've seen it, and that's not to criticise the films that we like.
No.
You know, Attack the Block and stuff like that. We've seen it all before. And yet I felt he brought something different to this. It wasn't sensational. It was like even that scene when he was going up to, a little bit later in the film, where he was going up to the guy where he's sort of sitting in the flat with the drugs.
Yeah.
The reds and the
neon,
yellows and the sort of slightly green filter you get to a light in a lift, you know, that makes it feel a bit.
Yeah.
But it was very original.
He managed to make really normal things cinematic.
So how did we feel about the younger Femi? I could hear.
Amazing. Oh, so cute.
He was
beautiful. His face, you just wanted to cry because he was so cute.
He was beautiful.
His face generated tears.
He was just, he was he just seemed heartbroken he was breaking your heart the entire time.
It's just.
And he was so good, he was so natural.
He was. And then how did you feel when you knew that the biological mum had called to take him?
Oh. I really felt for Denise Black's character as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously she really, really loved him and she didn't want to give him away, but she also can't not give him away. And didn't want to, kind of lose his trust by saying he had to go with her after promising that she wouldn't let him take her.
Yeah, I mean, that was she does say, I won't let you go, and it's revisited later in the film where she breaks down. I thought, even in her performance, again, it avoided cliche, because she wasn't, although she was emotional, she wasn't over sentimental.
No, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? So she clearly played it well because she was a foster parent. Foster parents must almost get used to having new kids and letting them go. I mean, she refers to her boys, doesn't she, at a later stage? Like they're all
just like all my boys, And like we said when we came out, we really liked how the lack of dialogue.
Yeah.
Especially with Femi's character. I mean, when he was little, he didn't say much at all. But
he was a grown-up,
that's why he was such a great actor, that little kid, because he didn't say much at all, but managed to make you feel so much.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to add up all the dialogue onto paper, it'd probably be about it wouldn't be more than about 20 pages across the film. There's virtually no dialogue at all. The young Femi, played by Tai Golding, heads off up to London. And boy, does he get an eye-opening experience. What happens to him when he gets to home in London? What's his mum like?
Well, because the thing is like, his mum, obviously he's gone from Denise Black, he was very, you could already tell from the small time that we see with them together, is very calming, kind of like, it doesn't spoil him, but you know, he kind of, she doesn't let him eat his veggies and gives him chocolate.
He's allowed cereal.
Yeah, and he goes straight from that to his biological mother that's just a bit more, it was tough love really, wasn't it?
It was tough love,
She was just, it was a big change. And yeah, she whacks him with a stick, doesn't she?
I jumped on my skin. I literally went, oh!
Well, you were on edge for most of the film.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of... well, no, but you did look at me at one point and you did say, oh my God, Dad, it's so tense. I mean, the tension was remarkable, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You started by hating his biological mum.
Yeah, you did.
Because you hated... And that's what was so clever about this film. And then slowly, across the arc of the film, whilst you don't necessarily grow to love her, you realise that in her own way, she is wanting what's best for him.
Yeah, and she's done the best with what she was given.
What did you think of the really nice transitional way they went from him being young to an older boy? They
did like that overlapping bit.
I liked it, but I would have. I thought they were gonna like. I don't know how to explain it. I thought they would have like done a better way of doing.
A better transition.
Yeah, I didn't.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It kind of just faded down a bit and then kind of faded up a bit. It was strange. I wasn't entirely convinced. I think they could have just been bold and just gone with a cut. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just
like
a hard cut.
I agree.
I thought they were going to do like him walking or something and him just getting older and older.
Yeah. And I thought in the trailer they did it quite successfully. I think there's a shot of him on the balcony, isn't there, at one point, at one age, and then a shot on the balcony at another age. I thought that was quite nice. Yeah, so I thought that was a bit
But it didn't bother me.
No,
like,
it's not.
If I had to look back and be like...
splitting hairs. So what did we then think of Sam Adewunmi as he then played the older Femi?
I thought he was absolutely amazing. His face is incredible. Beautiful.
It's like a piece of carved beauty.
It just,
isn't it?
Carved by the hands of God himself.
I loved that shot they kept him doing of his eyes.
Yes. It's a big
like,
close-up.
He had amazing eyes.
Yeah.
And they were showing so much. Because like he had moments of a lot of dialogue, his character, when he was older. But then he had moments of no dialogue at all, and he too was amazing at managing to act so much through just his facial expressions.
Just through so little. And I got a real sense then when we went to the larger Femi, if you like, the older Femi, of how, however much the mum wanted to discipline him, there's only so much she can do at this point, because he's a lolloping huge man, isn't he? And really, he slips, doesn't he? But not in a cliche fashion. This isn't like every other film you've seen about a boy in London slipping into gangsterland. He slips into, although they're they're gangsters and they're drug dealers and what have you, they're kind of low end, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, they were very realistic.
They were very realistic. I mean, they had character. They were quite funny.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't just evil.
No,
and they weren't
exactly. And I thought that was important.
Which is clever.
I liked it.
I liked them. Yeah, me too. But because, but like it gives you the humane side to them as well. Whereas some films, they just go a bit too extreme, and it's so realistic because that is what people are like. You know, they're
it's
not
a bit like Fez
evil.
and Euphoria, isn't it? They're not all horrible people.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. They're doing it for a reason.
They're doing it because they have to.
Like his reason, the main gangster is that he had a family and it was his way.
Oh, that was I forgot about that scene. That's right. So they did even give us context to the lead gangster. He's got a lovely family, a lovely daughter.
A lot of people could look at it like that's not a way of keeping your family safe. But then you've got to look at it as like the choices that they're given. Because I knew right from when Femi went from where he was staying with his foster parent to where he was staying in London. Just the change in the sound of the atmosphere, you know, hear people shouting and stuff, and you already know that the lack of choices he's now got because he's there, and like
and I thought
people who'll be around.
And I thought the soundtrack did that very well. Because when he was in the countryside at the beginning, there was an openness to the sound.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't really sound. They didn't play a lot of music, which I liked as well. There was a lot of like natural.
But there was a lot of distorted sound. So like that scene, you know, when he was wandering up to meet the main drug dealer, gangster guy. It was all contorted. It was like, and whenever he was spliffed, you know, it kind of
that bit where they're outside the shop.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's one scene where he goes into
gets
a
the
shop.
chewing gum.
It's the one scene of major... Well, no, there's two scenes of major violence, and there's a huge fight, and he goes into the shop. Yeah, no, that made me jump out my skin. But again, you know, none of that stuff was delivered in the most obvious way of a car driving by and someone shooting.
Everything that could have been cliche in it wasn't cliche.
No.
Yeah.
There's and also like we were saying, there's a bit with the teacher, Nicholas. Is that Nicholas?
Nicholas Pinnock.
so there's a teacher within the school that is realising that Femi's kind of slipping and isn't doing so well with his educational side, and he can see that he's hanging with the wrong people. And like the teacher says, you know, he kind of experienced it when he was at school. He fell into the wrong group, and wants to help Femi. And that could have been cliche with the teacher trying to sort the situation, being like, look, you need to stop. But it just wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Because it also didn't work.
No.
I thought that was... you loved that scene, didn't you? There was a scene with Femi and the teacher.
There was a scene, and it's that classic situation where the teacher can see the promise in Femi and he wants to rescue him and help him. And there's a scene of such extraordinary, frustrated anger from Femi towards the teacher. I was sobbing. I was sobbing. Because
then I was really worried because I was like, don't attack the teacher too much because you're going to get in trouble.
Well, I thought it was going to get thrown out of the school, but then, I don't know, that just broke my heart.
Yeah, because they started fight because the teacher was kind of pushing him a bit, wasn't he, to try and stop him. And Femi was kind of like getting annoyed because he was pushing it a bit too far. And then they hug and he's crying, and I was just like,
that's right,
so wholesome.
And this is a bit of a spoiler, this bit, but I mean, I like the way Femi managed to get himself out of the gang. He knew he was taking a risk, but in most films it would be like death. Do you know what I mean? Severe stabbing, death, or killing of someone that you knew. Well, in this instance, because we were much lower down the pecking order of gangsters, it was not pleasant, but it was a beating up.
But that was horrible.
It was horrible, but it was so
believable. I wasn't expecting it either, because obviously why this happens is because the main gangster guy calls Femi, and Femi declines the call, which you're clearly not allowed to do. And then the guy speaks to Femi, doesn't he, on the road? Has a bit of a fight with Femi's mate. Gets back in the car, and I was like, oh,
that's it.
And then the other guy gets out the car, and then I was like, and then Femi was like, you don't have to do this, and I was like, no. And he just kept beating him up.
And there was the big heavy guy. You've got to give him a shout out, whoever the actor was.
You were great.
Oh, you were brilliant. And the way you kept being left outside places, I felt
you just stay in the car.
Not a single shot is not considered. Every single shot is beautifully. Did you like the way it was shot?
Yeah, I loved it.
That defocus, natural light, but really going in for big close-ups, like you said, Kiki, huge close-ups of the eyes.
His eyes.
Tracking shots, magic real. Go on.
That bit where he's standing still, but he's like moving.
Floating.
He's floating.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
He's floating and tracking through space, and that doesn't mean that it doesn't feel real. It felt more real.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah,
it made you see his emotional sense of things. And that moment after he was beaten up and you had the distorted sound, really clever use of point of view.
And like had the camera here, didn't it?
Yeah. I loved all that real experimentation in here as well, which you're always looking for with cameras. Just bits of.
And I also loved all the bits with the blue-haired girl.
Oh
I can't remember the character's name, but yeah. So basically, because Femi had these two mates within the school that were really, I loved the three of their relationship was great. But basically, two of them really pick on this particular girl because she's darker skinned, isn't she?
That's right.
And Femi never really. Well, that doesn't really stand up for her. He kind of tells him to back off when it's a bit too late. But then there was that one time, wasn't there, where they were waiting outside parents' evening, and he approaches her, and he like listens to the music she's been listening to, and she was kind of embarrassed and worried about what he was going to say when he listened to it. But it turned out to be the music that he listens to.
I think it was The Cure.
And it was The Cure or something, and it was just really cute because earlier on he'd been listening to it and his mate's like, what are you listening to? He goes, Tupac.
Yeah, he was listening to it. It's like listening to white people's music in inverted commas, and I love that. I love the idea that, you know, within...
And that they kind of... He was kind of embarrassed by who she was.
Yeah. I love this sort of sheepish listening to... It'd be like me sheepishly listening to NWA or something like that. I really liked all that. Did you like the girl?
Yeah.
And I loved the two friends, you're right. I thought they were really funny.
The mouthwash bit.
Oh, yeah.
The
mouthwash, they rob a shop and what have they robbed?
They all robbed like sweets, and then one of them robbed Listerine and toothpaste.
Listerine, don't you want fresh bread? It's like, what?
Hygiene first, guys.
That was really... I mean, so there are moments of great sort of humour. It's a really intense watch, like Kiki said, it's really tense and stressful. And then what I really liked about it was across the arc of the film, you realise that this thing that I personally had my own experience of with my own mother, which is you go from hating his mum, as Femi did, because of her treatment, and she's essentially dragged him from a life that he loved.
Confused his childhood.
To him kind of understanding that she only had her own limited choices too. And all of that is hammered home really properly when his mother, biological mother, takes him back to Nigeria. to meet the biological father.
There's that scene before they go there where the mum was like fixing his face up.
Oh, that's right, after the fight.
I was crying so much in that scene.
Oh,
And she's
yeah.
like apologising.
Oh, don't.
She was like, I'm
so
sorry, I
sweet.
only wanted what was
She
best.
wanted the best for you.
Yeah, and he's like, it's okay, I love you and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, 'cause she was like, I love you as well, even if you hate me. And he goes, I don't hate you. And I was like,
Oh. So yeah, and that breakdown
Nervous
and that
wreck.
humanising of her, and I thought she played it so well.
oh, she was a brilliant actress.
She's a brilliant actress.
But like we said, I can't fault a single person in this film.
Gbemisola Ikumelo, I apologise if I got it incorrect, but I mean, you were remarkable.
It was absolutely...
remarkable.
I loved the bit when Femi returns to see his foster mother.
Oh yeah, he goes back
Denise
to see
Black,
Denise Black.
and he connects with that other
Oh
young
yes,
boy that's
she's
there.
got a new boy, and no, that was so
They have this
sweet.
lovely scene of like playing football. It was like so wholesome.
Because I thought they were going to take that he looked at the life he could have had, but of course he'd had it too.
Get jealous or something.
Yeah, exactly. But he didn't. He embraced the boy and he played with the boy.
Adorable.
Beautiful. And again, all these scenes shot in very ordinary locations, but made to look magical by the camera work. Truly beautiful camera work, and that's something I rarely see enough of in British cinema. I mean, some of these hugely budgeted films should look at films like this and learn.
Low budget films are just so
much more inventive.
Yeah.
And then we have a final scene where he does meet his biological father, and that was a bit of a damp squib.
They go to
Nigeria. Don't they?
I love that scene where he's sitting in
isn't that funny?
It like went on for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, he's sitting awkwardly waiting to meet his dad, who's obviously this pastor.
Just the same shot.
Because some people could look at that part within the film and be like, took it a bit too far, didn't need it. But I thought it really worked.
Well, for me, the reason it worked for me was it sealed and secured his feelings for his
mother.
And
but it was also very real.
Yeah, it was very real. I mean, I used to go to school with a girl called Bossaday, who, bless you, if you see this, I send all my love. You were a lovely friend. And she would talk about how there were lots of people who lived in Nigeria. There were lots of princes and princesses and incredibly rich people whose kids come over to the UK, and when you go back, they're very wealthy in Nigeria, but here we wouldn't even necessarily know that. And I thought that was very real. It was very real.
And I thought his actual biological dad was really good.
It was good.
It was so natural.
So natural, but sort of so emotionally sort of distanced
because he just
from anything.
had nothing to
and then
do.
the film sort of ended, didn't it? With we moved towards.
Oh yeah, he goes to like this kind of, it's like that spiritual bit.
Yeah, so it was baptized.
I really liked that bit.
You were in the loo. You were in the loo at that point. I was slightly worried she was going to miss the end of the film.
And then he goes to the beach. He's like running on the beach, and it kind of cuts back and forth to when he was little, when he was running in the fields.
Yeah, and that lovely moment that you said, Kiki, when they would do the shouting and he'd run to the top of the hill and give the shout.
And they do the bit of him screaming on the hill and then him screaming at the sea now and then.
Oh, okay. Well, in summary, how would you sum it up? Who wants to go first?
I can't fault this film.
No.
I've tried. Since we've seen it, I've been thinking of if I really, really looked into it, anything I could criticise, and I honestly can't criticise anything. All of the actors, gave it their all, and they were all amazing. There were no weak. I loved all the characters as well.
Yeah.
All the characters had such a There, like you said, there are really lovely light moments, small moments, but like with his mates and stuff, where it's quite funny and all of that. And I loved the beginning with the kids playing in the mud and everything. Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was really meaningful film, because there could have been loads of dialogue, and it would have worked with dialogue as well, but something about its lack of dialogue was so clever. Yeah, I mean, I knew I was going to love it from the trailer, but I was surprised as to how good it was. Yeah, because like I said, every single shot had so much care put into it, and it was so beautiful to look at. Like, you could screen grab any part of that film and it would be beautiful to look at.
Yeah, it's true. Every single shot was like a frameable picture.
And I just loved how natural and realistic it was, and I loved all of the kind of like magic realism bits, like when he was floating and stuff, which, like you said, almost made it seem even more real, which was really strange. But I loved that bit, and I think he's an amazing actor, and I hope he gets like more stuff off. It gets to be more.
BAFTA newcomer, please.
Yes, and the kid. I mean, Woo. So yeah, oh my god, rating 11.
Wow, 11 out of 10.
It's
like my favourite film of this.
Is it? Yeah. Kiki Biki.
It's literally a perfect film. Like, everyone was amazing in it.
Yeah.
It was just perfect. I loved the way it was shot. It was so beautiful. I loved the little boy. He was so beautiful.
Oh, so beautiful.
You always usually spot something that's a bit insufficient, like a character.
But I literally can't think of anything.
Like you almost don't know what to say because you're like
literally perfect.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's quite something, isn't it?
I forgot to mention that scene that I found really emotional, where the teacher comes to their house and his like saying about his wife having a baby, and his like, make sure you like care about something like that.
Are you going to be there for it?
And he's staring at his mum, and says it, a tear just goes down his cheek, and then he's like,
make sure you stay there for it.
Yeah, and you know, he was like, are you going to be there for it? Because make sure you, and you could see that the mum knew what he was talking about as well.
It was so complicated, and it was just a great lesson in understanding everyone's situation. Everyone has reasons for why they are what they are and what they are and why they are.
Yeah, so I'm just going to give it a 10 as well.
Hey! 11. 10. I was pleasantly surprised. I felt I was going to enjoy this, but I didn't realise I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. It felt like a really substantial meal where everything on your plate is so enjoyable, even if it's a little bit challenging as a taste, if you know what I mean. It really reminded me, dare I say, a little bit better in parts, than Moonlight by Barry Jenkins. The camera work proves to you that what Barry Jenkins has done in Moonlight and If Beale Street Could Talk, you know, we all think, oh, that's Barry Jenkins, he's amazing. And he is amazing, don't get me wrong. It just shows you, with the right inventiveness and the right subject matter, and in any location.
The right creative mind.
Yeah, and the right creative mind and the right story. You can do that shit even in the UK. Boring old Blighty. I thought the director brought ordinary locations to life and light. And interestingly, here's an interesting point. There were villains, essentially, in the piece, but I didn't dislike anyone. No, I understood everyone. I felt like everyone was given a reason for whether they were like something or what they were doing.
I didn't hate anyone. I mean, the only character I hated at one point was the biological mother, only because you're kind of following how Femi feels. But you end up,
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the humour is subtle. So like that scene you mentioned, Kiki, where he's sitting on the sofa, was actually very funny, and they held it for a long time, and I like that. Cultural differences were interesting. They dealt with the whole thing of gradations of skin colour between black and Indians. I thought that was a tricky thing to touch on. I like the inversion of listening to white music and all that sort of stuff. That was cool. And I thought Denise Black was absolutely amazing. She's an old mate of your mum's. And I think this is one of those films that the reason we're reviewing it, and the fact that it has got a universal...
I'm so glad we found it.
I'm so glad we found it. 10 out of 10 from me too. But the major thing here is, if just half of all you people go and see this film that see this review, you will make this film even closer to being profitable, and then more films like it can get made.
And it deserves
it. And
it deserves it far more than some that, you know.
Oh my God, so much more so than most other rubbish that's made.
I would recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, I would too.
And it's really worth taking the time out of your day to go and see it. Yeah.
Beautiful filmmaking.
It is probably the most perfect film ever made. It is perfect. I literally can't fault this film.
It is a nigh on perfect.
I am trying to, after we saw it, I was trying to look for all of the things that were like possibly a bit weak, or something I didn't quite like, or something I sat there a bit like, I can't.
Well, no. What do you say?
I didn't even think.
Oh, you agree?
I didn't even think it was too long.
For more film and family fun, don't forget to click the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell to never miss an update.